up, s'mores? I'm Shannon Morse. Welcome to my YouTube channel all about travel and technology. And today I have a new tech review for you, the brand new MX Master 3 from Logitech, as well as the new MX keys. But before I get into these reviews, I did want to say thank you so much to a few of my patrons, as well as my Buy Me a Coffee fellows. So I would like to say thank you to Matthew, Michael, and David for hitting me up on patreon.com/Shannon Morse. They are my golden and toasted s'mores. And I would also like to say thank you to Larry C, Sparkleface, Paul, and Oliver for buying me a coffee, which is over at buymeacoffee.com/snubs. So today I am checking out the brand new MX Master 3 and the MX keys, which just came out last week, so I am so excited to share these with you after Logitech sent them to me for a review. They also sent me out the MX Palm Rest, which does come in a little bundle if you buy all three, so I will give this a mention at the end of the video as well. So both the Logitech keyboard and the mouse are $100 each. Both of them can be charged with USB-C, and both of them can be customized with the Logitech Options software. Both of them work with multiple operating systems, and both of them come with packaging that is recyclable, which as a somewhat environmentalist, I appreciate. The mouse comes in graphite black or mid-gray, and the keyboard comes in black with gray accents. Both of these devices are a part of the Master Series from Logitech. Logitech really gears this towards engineers, coders, programmers, and creators like me. So when they reached out and they said, hey, do you want to review these brand new products? I was like, absolutely. I'm a creative type. I dabble in programming sometimes, and I have a lot of friends that are coders and engineers. So this is definitely something that I was really interested in. As an editor of creative content on YouTube and of photography, working with pixels, working with timelines, and having that precision is really a key. So for me, that was very important with these new products and something that I really focused on. So I'm going to go ahead and start with the Logitech MX Master 3, which you see here, this beautiful little mouse. What makes this unique is the MagSpeed electromagnetic scrolling wheel, which is precise enough to stop on a pixel, but it's also fast enough to scroll through 1,000 lines of code or spreadsheet rows in 1 second. It uses electromagnets. So in their precision ratchet mode, which they're calling it ratchet mode, it has magnetic fields that have opposed polarity. So whenever you scroll, the teeth inside the wheel create resistance, which you can obviously feel whenever you're touching it. It automatically shifts from ratchet mode to the free scroll whenever you spin it really fast. Now, I like this because it's also quiet as well. I have a gaming mouse downstairs, which is the one that I use day to day, not only for video games, but also for day-to-day tasks. And when I'm podcasting and I use the scrolly wheel, you can hear the little clicky click. Now, I like the fact that this one is so darn quiet because I could use this while I'm guest hosting on a podcast, for example. Now, if you switch over to free spin mode, the magnetic field does not go through the teeth, so no resistance is created. The polarity is changed via electric impulses. The mode shift button toggles between ratchet and free spin modes, and that's located right below your spin wheel, so it's really easy to access and easy to change. There's a bunch of other buttons on this thing as well, but don't worry, it's not overkill. There's a scroll wheel, which can scroll through items horizontally in different kinds of apps. So if you're in a spreadsheet, which has a lot of columns, this could scroll you horizontally through all of those columns, which is very useful. The backward and forward buttons are pretty generic. They work just like you would expect them to. And then there's this gesture button, which is below the thumb. So you can click and hold and do specific gestures, like you can hold it down and you can move the mouse forwards or backwards or side to side for task view, switching between desktops, or app expose. Now you can also enable easy switch and pair it with multiple computers and use the easy switch buttons to switch it from one machine to the other. Now that button is located on the bottom of this mouse, and you'll notice that it has 1, 2, and 3 listed above it. If you click that, each of those will highlight with a little white LED, and that will tell you which computer you're currently connected to with the device. I will go through how to set it up, and I will talk about how you actually switch and how you connect it, and furthermore, there is also a power button on the bottom as well. Now obviously you can customize the buttons with the application. It has built-in app configurations for Adobe Photoshop, Premiere Pro, browsers, Microsoft Office, and Final Cut Pro. the profiles are ready out of the box. So you can switch to any of those applications and it will automatically know what to do. But you can also add your own application-specific settings using the Logitech software. Now, as I mentioned, I did want to tell you how to pair with this. You can use either wireless 2.4 gigahertz or Bluetooth BLE, which is Bluetooth Low Energy. So first off, just choose which device you want to connect to with Easy Switch. So if I want to pair my laptop as number 1, then I would choose number 1 on the bottom of this, and then I would connect it with the software. Now, as far as comfort goes, this is definitely shaped for your hand, and it is very comfortable to hold. It's not too big. It doesn't get tiring over time, which a lot of larger mice do with my small hands. And it's also not so small that you have to grip it like a claw. You can just rest your hand on top of it and feel very comfortable. You can use this on any kind of surfaces thanks to Logitech's dart field tracking, which works on anything, including glass, pretty much. Obviously, it probably won't work that well on carpet, but you can use it on flat surfaces. And it does have DPI options, which I appreciate as somebody who plays video games and likes a, high DPI, but then switches to Photoshop and likes a low DPI so that I can get that precisions with the pixels. So it can do all the way from 200 all the way up through 4000 DPI, and those changes are in 50 DPI increments. Now, one of the coolest freaking features with this mouse is the fact that you can use it across multiple machines, across multiple operating systems. So this is very nice because I used to use third-party software back in the day, like 10 years ago when I first started with Hack5. I think it was called like Synergy or something, but it was open source third-party software that you had to download on multiple devices, and then you could use your mouse and switch between each device, just moving from one device to the other. Now with the Logitech MX Master 3, it's already Flow enabled, and Flow is Logitech's software that allows you to switch from one operating system and one machine to another one just by moving your mouse. And you can enable it so that you stick on one machine until you hit a button on your keyboard like Control, and then shift over to another one by sliding across the edge. However, you don't necessarily have to enable that. So it's not just the mouse and keyboard that can do Flow enabled, but you can also copy and transfer files from one machine to another, even if it's cross-platform. So if I want to copy something from a Windows machine, for example, and stick it on my Linux laptop, I can do that. If I want to do Windows to Windows, I could do that. If I want to do Mac over to my Windows machine, I could do that as well, just by copying and pasting, which is very cool. Now, all of those devices do have to be on the same wireless account, so if you have them on separate networks, it's not going to work. So you have to make sure that you have all of those machines on the same wireless or wired network. Now this little device has 70 days worth of battery charge. 70. So that's a lot of charge for this little device, which means you will barely have to recharge the thing. Now if you do find yourself running out, say you forgot for 2.5 months that you needed to charge it, that's fine too. You can actually get 3 hours of use out of this after 1 minute of charging. Now again, this is $100 and I will put the link to purchase one of these in the show notes. It is not a referral link. It doesn't matter to me whether or not you purchase one, but just in case you're interested, the link is down below. Now moving on, we have the MX keys, which is the Logitech keyboard that also came out last week. This is a full-size keyboard, so it should match the size of any of those ones that you have at home, and it also includes the number pad on the side, which I graciously appreciate. Thank you, Logitech. You'll notice that it's very matte, it's not super shiny or anything, and it has these spherically dished keys that follow the curve of your fingertip with rounded edges around them. That gives it a pretty comfortable feel, I will say. However, there's not a lot of travel compared to mechanical keyboards, so if you're somebody that likes mechanical keyboards, you may not like this one. It does have a lot of key stability, which offers a lot of responsiveness whenever you press it down, so you do get that nice feedback, but it's also not noisy like a mechanical keyboard. It also has a single metal plate that it's made out of, which makes it really nice and durable and gives it a nice feel, and it does not slide around thanks to 6 different rubber feet that are located on the bottom, which also lift it up and give it a nice curve. The battery notification is up at the top, and you will see that that will glow a different color when you hit 10% or lower. And there's also an on-off power switch and the USB-C charger, which is located on the back. This will give you 10 days of a full charge, which is a lot less than the mouse, but it will also work for 5 months if you keep the backlighting off. So let's talk about that backlighting, shall we? It has proximity sensors located inside of this device. I don't know where those proximity sensors are. I can't see them visually, but they are there. So that means that whenever you walk up to the device and you hover your hands over the keyboard, it will start to illuminate, especially if you are in a darker surrounding. Those will also fade when you walk away, which will give you a longer battery life. The backlighting also changes in intensity depending on lighting conditions, but you can set that manually as well using the function keys up at the top. This device has 10 meters of range, which means you can get pretty far away from your device. You could set this up with a home theater, for example. You can also do 2.4 with the Logitech dongle or Bluetooth BLE as usual, and you can also set it up with 3 different devices with Easy Switch. This one is also flow enabled, which is great because you can switch it from one machine to another, and it has tons of function keys which are located up at the top, and you can customize those in your settings as well. If you're wondering where your function keys are, those are located right above the insert, home, and page up buttons over on the side next to the number pad. Now, as I mentioned, I did want to give this little guy a mention as well. This is a padded palm rest that you can get bundled for free if you purchase both of those devices. This is naturally $20 just on its own, so if I was to purchase both of those devices, I would definitely want to get this for free. It's nice, it's durable, it's not magnetic or anything, it doesn't latch onto the keyboard, which I did check for, however, it is comfortable. I do like having a padded palm rest because that's something that I look for pretty often whenever I'm purchasing a new keyboard. So I think that's everything with these 2 devices. I really enjoyed using especially the mouse when I was using Adobe Premiere Pro and Photoshop. I love the fact that I could get really precise, and I love having that horizontal scroll wheel on the side. Very useful. The fact that I could switch between devices even if they're on different operating systems is so freaking cool. However, given that I already have a desktop setup at home, this would probably be a lot more useful for somebody who has 2 separate devices that they're using at one workspace, which I generally don't use. I do have a mechanical keyboard at home that I truly appreciate, and I do like that clicky-clacky that you get from a mechanical keyboard. However, I know that it's not always useful to have one like that, especially if I'm co-hosting on a podcast. I can't necessarily use it unless I mute my microphone because it is just so dang loud. This one is really easy to use, and I actually found myself using it pretty constantly whenever I was sitting in my living room and I was working on my 2 different laptops. Now, I would love to know what you think of the MX series from Logitech. I think both of these devices are very nice and durable. They do feel high quality, and I would love to know if you have purchased them and see what you think of them below in the comments. Thank you again to Logitech for sending these over for a review, and I will also be answering questions about them on my social media, especially on Twitter, so you can find me at Snubs over there. Don't forget to subscribe and like this video if you enjoyed it and you want to see more tech reviews from me. Again, my name is Shannon Morse. Thank you so much to my s'mores for watching this episode, and I will see you next time. Bye!